trying to project the Red Sox roster out even 3-4 years down the line is a little bit difficult with the contract situations right now. Do you look at it from, all right, these guys are going to be playing for their next contract, so a lot of times that's a good thing. But then also there's that concern of like these guys like having a little bit of stability and knowing where they're going to be the next couple of years. How do you weigh those two?
It's so individual.
Mm.
You really, when you're talking about, okay, are you going to make a big commitment to a guy and do a big deal with somebody? Like, you have to believe in them, not just the talent, but you have to believe in, what they're going to bring to the table with that security. So that's a big part of it. I don't necessarily think, and some of that's individual. There are some guys where you might say, we're going to get the best out of this guy with the carrot in front of him, right? But usually, I like to think that most of the guys that we have, hopefully most of the guys we bring in are guys you can trust, and guys that care about this independent of the money that it could make them. And it's really just a question of, it's individual for the club and for how we think about the player, and it's individual for the player of what do they want, right? Some of them want to, if you're talking about somebody earlier in their career, they might want to bet on themselves and just see if they can max out, or they might feel like I'm going to perform better with that in front of me. And some guys might want to have the certainty. And even if they want the certainty, they might have a different idea of what that should look like than we do. And, obviously, whether it's with a free agent or where the market has a role, or with your own player where, it's about kind of what they want and how they see it. Sometimes you match up, sometimes you don't. So I think you have to think about it in terms of the roster and how you plan this out, and obviously making sure, okay, the roster fits. How are we thinking about different situations we could get in? But at the same time, like we talked about with Marcelo and how that factored into Bogey, you do that too much, you get yourself in trouble. Mm-hmm. And usually the best answer is just, in this individual case, do we believe in this player? Do we believe in this person? And then what are the terms that maybe we can come together, with on a deal? And if that's in place, then I think, usually there's something to be done there. Obviously, in our business, for every 5, 6, 7 of those conversations you have, you probably get to one deal, maybe, just because, the market hasn't spoken, and that makes it a lot harder to see eye to eye. But I think you try to keep it individual and just make sure you do have to zoom out, managing the roster, managing your resources, but it still comes down to how you feel about the player.
From what you've seen with Rafael Devers so far in camp, and maybe this isn't, it might be hard to weigh this, does he seem more loose knowing that he's now got that contract? Because I got to figure that that's part of it. We saw the mic'd up clip the Red Sox posted, which was hilarious. Maybe the best one they posted, where he's just saying Rafi, like he's just saying his own name just to get excited. I think he can be a leader of this team, right? And he's getting more comfortable with English. Does he feel a little more loose, maybe knowing that he's got that stability of the contract?
So that's an interesting question. I'll give you my, I shouldn't speak for him, but I'll give you my perspective on it. I think one of the great things about him, and it's part of the reason actually why we see him the way we do and why we were willing to bet on him, is that I don't think, like last year when we didn't come to terms and he was playing, I don't think it was weighing on him.
Which is kind of rare, right? Doesn't that feel kind of rare? Yeah.
Like,
Bogey looked a little different.
There.
Bogey seemed a little bit. Maybe we read too much.
Yeah,
into
I
this
don't want to.
too.
I mean, I don't want to compare the two guys. Obviously,
no, I know. I know.
Different, but in Rafi's case, like, you've heard him say it himself, right? They pay me good and I hit homers, right? Like,
yeah,
pretty simple. Like, I think he has a lot of. He's pretty grounded. He had a lot of perspective that, like, he's going to be a pretty wealthy guy no matter how this turns out. So the thing about it now is, I do think there's probably some benefit to this just being off the table, and there's certainty, and now everybody knows who we're building around, and he knows that too. And so whatever distraction that would have brought in, I think it's nice that that's not there. One thing about him and the leadership aspect, this actually goes back to your first question about Kike, and it's very similar for everybody. Like, the guys that are actually able to lead, they don't do it by trying to be somebody they're not. They do it by just bringing, like, more of themselves and being who they are. And that's what that, on top of work ethic and ability and all those things, gets you respect and puts you in a position to do that. What I believe in his ability to do that, not because all of a sudden, okay, I got a lot of money, now I have to be the leader, but just, I think it will continue to happen. It already has been happening, but it will continue to happen as just part of his natural growth as he goes through his career. And one thing that I'm not sure that people appreciate, because when you see him from a distance, obviously he loves playing the game. He's like loose about playing the game. Some of the things he does on the field are a little goofy. He cares a lot. He cares about how he plays, and not just about how he hits, right? For a guy that there's a lot of knocks on his defense, he cares about his defense. He cares about playing. He feels a responsibility to play. We saw that last year, right? He played through some stuff, and he's willing to do that. And he cares about winning. When we were not playing well last year, he was pissed. And he didn't always necessarily show that publicly, but he wants to win, and he cares about this. And, that to me speaks really loudly. And I just think it's all going to come just as the outgrowth of that, because it's all there. And it's just, everybody else knows, okay, great. They made this commitment to him. He's the guy, but it's really just about being himself. And that's why we made the investment in him, because we trust him.